Sometimes I think we all get a little too focused on the big picture when it comes to video games, trying to consider all aspects of a game at once to judge it as a whole and see how it compares to others. I do this all the time myself, especially when creating videos. And while it can be fun to take a step back and look at video games with a critical viewpoint, I think it's also important to do the opposite every now and then, just relaxing and focusing on the small stuff, the parts of games that often get overlooked when you're trying to decide what your overall opinion of the game is. Nintendo games are full of small details and moments that always bring a smile to my face. Whether it's a cute and colorful expression of joy, a heartwarming interaction between two characters, or a somber discovery that brings sadness, these moments are so important to create a world that the player can really connect with. I think a lot of us look at games as one solid entity, when really they're more like 1,000 different little things all combining together to create the final product. There are a ton of examples of this across all of gaming, and I wouldn't be able to cover it all in just one video. So I'll be focusing on Nintendo games, and trying to capture the magic that these small moments can have. So sit back, relax, and join me today as we appreciate the tiny moments in Nintendo games. One of my favorite tiny moments comes from Super Mario Odyssey in the Metro Kingdom. New Donk City is a huge and bustling location with people coming and going constantly. While running around, you might notice a single man sitting alone on a bench. Sitting down will start a conversation with the man, where he says, "You're not from around here, are you? You're the first person to ever just sit down next to me. It's a lonely city, thanks for reaching out." Most of Mario Odyssey's moons have you completing platforming challenges or finding hidden secrets, but this one just needs you to show a little kindness to a stranger. Moments like this can slow down the energy of gameplay for a bit, and make the player think more deeply about the world around them. Just these few lines of dialogue made me understand New Donk City as a location so much better, and showed me the importance of taking the time out of my day to be nice to those around me. It's the sort of thing that no one would notice if it wasn't in the game, which is what makes it so special. It's not an essential story moment or a core gameplay mechanic, it's just a small moment alone with someone who needs a friend to talk to. The Legend of Zelda series is full of these sorts of tiny moments, especially in Breath of the Wild. This open-world version of Hyrule allows for so much player freedom and experimentation that you'll end up discovering plenty of things for yourself. Simple moments like watching the sun set over the beautiful landscape or finding spirits roaming around on Satori Mountain. And while moments like this NPC thinking he found the lover's pond when really it's a broken heart are hilarious, my favorite small moment from this game has to be Cass returning home and playing music with his daughters. As you travel across Hyrule, you'll often run into this big accordion-playing bird named Cass. He has multiple different shrine quests for you to solve, and he even mentions that he's homesick and wants to go home to his children. Once you finally complete all of the quests he has for you, he gets to go home to Rito Village. His wife thanks you for bringing her husband back to her, and tells you that he's singing with his daughters at his usual place, and they could use an audience if Link has some time to spare. And then you find Cass playing the Rito Village theme, and this time he's joined by his daughters singing alongside him. It's a beautiful scene, and one of my favorite tiny moments from the Zelda series. These small moments might not last very long, but they always make a big impact on me personally, and they are the most memorable when I discover them myself, without the game telling me what to do. Obviously, linear games can have incredible moments as well, but it feels a lot more interesting when you go off the beaten path and find things that feel hidden. In the Splatoon 2 Hero mode, you can find Marie standing around at various points in the overworld. Talking to her will give you some basic dialogue, but if you keep pressing A over and over again, her dialogue starts to get a lot more interesting. Saying things like, "Commence Operation Awkward Silence," "Maybe I should start looking for an Agent 5, it's times like these that I miss Agent 3, who'd have thought Agent 4 was the needy type," and, "Dude, shut your face and get to work already." The first time I found these extra lines, I felt like I found something hilarious all by myself by annoying the crap out of Marie. Where most games would just repeat the same basic tutorial lines when talking to an NPC, Splatoon 2 went the extra mile to give the characters more personality and charm. Hiding these sorts of little moments in a game is a great way to draw the player in and get them more invested in interacting with the world in front of them. And now it's that part of the video where I talk about Wii Sports Resort for like the 100th time. Woohoo Island is a location that is full of fun little Easter eggs to find, and the best way to explore the island is through the island flyover mode. Flying around Woohoo Island leads to a lot of great moments, but I really love how the island transforms at night. The residents gather around a big bonfire on the beach, there's a nighttime party held on the Queen Peach cruise ship, and I love the eye point description for the mountain hikers at night. Up here, you could almost reach out and grab the stars from the sky. Then in the final minute of your flyover, fireworks are launched from the surrounding islands, lighting up the sky with colorful bursts of light. But tiny moments don't have to be happy or funny, they can also be sad and melancholy. This can create a more somber atmosphere that fleshes out the world and makes things feel more realistic. Life isn't always perfect, so creating sad moments can help the player relate more personally to the story being told. One of these somber moments that's always stuck with me is from Super Metroid. While exploring planet Zebes, you'll eventually come across the body of someone who came before you. They have very similar armor to you, only silver colored. As far as I know, this body has never been explained, leaving the questions of who it was and what happened as mysteries. It's so much more effective this way, instead of there being some pop-up text telling you what happened. This mysterious corpse sets the tone of the world as dark and dangerous, as there have been explorers just like you who didn't make it out alive. This moment really is tiny, and most players will probably see it and move on within 10 seconds, but it's an important element of the game that I've always remembered. Another sad moment comes from the staff roll of Ocarina of Time. Once you've defeated the final boss and returned to your rightful timeline, the credits roll as the camera sweeps over the empty locations of Hyrule. They're empty because everyone has gathered at Lon Lon Ranch to celebrate the end, dancing and rejoicing that the pain can finally stop. But then it fades to a shot of Mido and King Zora, sitting together away from the light of the fire and the happy voices of the party. They don't feel like celebrating, as both have lost someone very close to them. Mido lost his best friend Saria, and King Zora lost his daughter, Ruto. But then green and blue sparkles surround the two, and Mido looks to the sky as King Zora does the same. High above them in the clouds, two balls of light shoot past, one blue and one green. These represent the spirits of Saria and Ruto, as the other sage's spirits follow behind them. This moment made a huge impact on me the first time I saw it, and I love the way it plays out. By the end of the game, so many people have died, and the world will never truly heal from the wounds created by Ganondorf. So while the party represents the joy that Hyrule feels that it's all finally over, Mido and King Zora represent the lingering sadness that stays in the background. The Zelda series has always been really good at balancing happy and sad moments, and this is a great example of that. I love when games slow down and give you a moment to breathe, letting you reflect on everything you've experienced so far. This usually comes in the form of the ending to the game, but in games like Animal Crossing, there isn't really a definitive end to your journey. So instead of a traditional ending, New Leaf takes a different approach. When you first get to your town, you plant a tree that represents the beginning of your new life. Over time, the tree will grow bigger and bigger. Then you can take a seat in front of your town tree and your villager will close their eyes and remember the history of your town in the time you've been mayor. Some gorgeous, relaxing music plays, and it creates the perfect moment for you to think about everything that's happened. The concerts with KK Slider are great too, giving you a moment to kick back and enjoy the live music. Xenoblade Chronicles is full of fantastic story moments, both in the main cutscenes and in the optional side quests and heart-to-hearts. But one that's always stood out to me is a moment with Ricky, Dunban, and Melia. The three are traveling and trying to find the others, when Ricky says he's too tired to go on and demands they all take a break. Melia says she's fine, but they all take a break anyway. But Ricky doesn't even rest, he just goes fishing instead. Dunban calls him out on this, and figures out that the real reason Ricky asked for a break is because he noticed that Melia was lagging behind. He knew that Melia would never admit how tired she was, so Ricky said he was the one who needed a break. This moment has so much character development for all three of them, and in such little time. With just a few lines of dialogue, I suddenly understood Melia's character so much better. Someone who pushes themselves too far to avoid appearing weak. And Ricky shows in this moment that he's actually more considerate and mature than he appears, being fully aware of the people around him. I already knew I liked Dunban by this point, but I was unsure about Melia and Ricky up until this moment that showed me why they are such great characters.
She would never admit how tired she was. That's the real reason, you ask.
All of these examples are proof that the tiny moments in Nintendo games can often be some of the most powerful and memorable parts of the experience. These moments may not be the most talked about, but they can really do a lot to connect you to the game on a more personal level. Moments like Pit and Palutena breaking the fourth wall in Kid Icarus Uprising, or listening to a band of Waddle Dees play songs from the Kirby soundtrack will always be the parts of Nintendo games that I treasure the most. To me, these sorts of things are the representation of just how much love and care is poured into these games by everyone who works on them, and I think it's important to appreciate them. I only covered a small fraction of the fantastic tiny moments from across Nintendo's history of games, and that's not even considering gaming as a whole. I'm sure you have your own favorite small moments from the games you've played, and I want to hear your picks down in the comments. Hopefully I was able to help you look at Nintendo games a little differently today, if only for a small amount of time. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see ya in the next one.